Welcome to the channel where we delve into the darkest and most mysterious secrets of history. Today we will talk about a crime that paralyzed an entire nation, kept the giants of the Japanese food industry in fear, and forever remained in the archives as one of the most high-profile unsolved cases in Japanese history. We are talking about the case of the monster with 21 faces, blackmailers who used cyanide-laced candy as their main weapon. Our nightmare begins on March 18, 1984, in Osaka. The criminals did not waste time. They immediately targeted the head of Japan's largest confectionery empire, Etsaki Glico president Katsuhisa Etsaki. 3 masked men broke into his home, tied up his wife and daughter, and kidnapped Etsaki himself from his own bathtub. 3 days later, Etsaki managed to escape from the abandoned warehouse where he was being held, but the criminals had achieved their goal. Glico and all of Japan were in horror. The criminals, who would soon call themselves the 21-Faced Monster, a pseudonym taken from a literary villain, began sending letters. These letters were not just ransom demands. They were written in a brazen, mocking tone and full of ridicule for the police. The monster demanded a huge ransom, 1 billion yen and 220 pounds of gold. But even after Etsaki's escape, the blackmail did not stop. It only moved to a new, much more terrifying level. When the police stepped up their investigation, the monster decided to show how far ahead he was of law enforcement. In April 1984, Glico Company cars were set on fire on the streets of Osaka. The criminals threatened to set fire to Glico's headquarters if their demands were not met. Etsaki Glico, in order to save at least some of its reputation, announced the recall of products worth more than $20 million. But this apparently did not satisfy the monster. In their letters, they rejoiced, "We have won." But then the terror turned deadly. The monster with 21 faces began threatening to poison candy with deadly sodium cyanide. Packages of sweets began appearing in stores across the country with stickers that read, "With cyanide," or simply, "CY." The police found a total of 21 packages containing the deadly poison. Fortunately, thanks to timely warnings from the criminals and the vigilance of staff, no one was harmed, but it was blackmail that could have killed. The monster was not going to stop at Glico. Soon they set their sights on other giants, Morinaga, Marudai Ham, and House Food Corporation. The tactics remained the same: threats to poison products, ransom demands, and taunting letters. In the letters, the monster mocked the police, calling them fools and describing in detail how they managed to escape the traps. One of the most famous letters read, "When will you catch us? Give us a hint. We want to talk to the police." The Morinaga case was the most difficult. The monster sent a letter to newspapers stating that a batch of poisoned candy was already on store shelves in Tokyo. The company had to recall more than 100,000 packages, which caused enormous damage to both its reputation and finances. Consumers stopped buying sweets. The Japanese food industry was paralyzed by fear. For years, the police tried to catch the criminals, who were always one step ahead. 2 key figures emerged in the case whom the detectives almost caught. First, there was the man with fox eyes, Kitsune Mei no Otoko. He was spotted several times in the area where the ransom was to be handed over, and once he escaped pursuit by using a taxi. He is believed to have been the leader of the group. Second, there was the man in the Yomiuri Giants baseball cap. He was caught on surveillance camera placing poisoned candies in a store. He was later identified as the man who was acting suspiciously at the time one of the letters was sent. Unfortunately, the identification came too late and he was never found. The criminals seemed to have access to internal police information. They knew the routes, times of operations, and even details not known to the public. This gave rise to the theory that there was someone from the police or their relatives in the group. The climax came in August 1985. The superintendent of the Shiga Prefectural Police, Yamamoto, who had led the unsuccessful capture operation, could not bear the shame and committed suicide by self-immolation. This came as a shock to the entire country. Shortly thereafter, the 21-faced monster sent its final letter to the media. In it, in its usual mocking tone, they stated, "We felt sorry for the police officer who died, and we have decided to stop our crimes. We forgive you." That was the last time Japan heard from the monster. The case was closed. The statute of limitations on the kidnapping expired in 1995 and on the attempted poisonings in 2000. The name Monster with 21 Faces remains synonymous with unsolved crime, fear, and audacity. They blackmailed major corporations, paralyzed an entire industry, challenged the police, and disappeared without a trace, never paying for their actions. Thank you for being with us. Until the next mystery.